Welcome back to the North Lake Sports Podcast. I'm joined again by John Patrick, aka JP, and his brother Joseph for some draft review and some other breaking down NBA stuff. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
So, if you didn't hear our first episode before, we did a mock draft and we did possible trades and all that sort of stuff. We did get the top three right.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that... And Kobe White, yes, sir. But other than that, kind of fell apart because we didn't, realize we didn't know about the trades that came up, including the Hawks move up to 4 and the Timberwolves Suns switch and stuff like that.
Definitely. So why don't we break down draft night a little bit, what went on. The first three went as expected with Zion, John RJ, excuse me. And then, JP, why don't you break down number 4 for us?
Well, the Hawks went and got their guy, what it sounded like, basically. I mean, DeAndre Hunter only worked out, really, for the Hawks. Or I'm sure he has some secret private workouts. That's kind of how that goes on. But, yeah, when the Hawks made that trade, rumors started coming out that we were going to make a move for DeAndre Hunter, which, to be honest... a lot of people didn't have DeAndre Hunter rated as a very high player. He's more of he's not really going to be a star, he's more of just a role player. But to be honest, he fits the team perfectly. It makes a lot of sense for us to make that move. And so we move up to 4 and snag him. And that kind of set the draft because that screwed up everybody's order a little bit. Because I think a lot of people had Culver as a top 5 lock. And something happened at 5 that surprised a lot of people. And that's the Cavs taking another point guard.
Yeah, with Darius Garland, that was a very surprising pick because we all thought that the Cavs had drafted their point guard of the future in Colin Sexton last year. And I'm not totally sure what the Cavs are thinking with that pick. My guess would be they're planning on doing a kind of Portland Trailblazers type of thing with Dame and CJ, but I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah, I totally don't know if Sexton is comparable to either of those players in Portland. I do like the potential, though, of having a 2-guard lineup. I'm trying to figure out still if this is a pick that shows that they have no belief in Sexton.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think this just goes to show you that they want Garland to be their main guy. I mean, spending a 5th pick on a guy who you want to run your offense is kind of crucial for them instead of having Sexton who had a solid year last year but nothing to write home about.
Yeah. It also gives Garland time to develop. I mean, he did play 6 or 7 collegiate games.
I think 4.5.
Yeah, so this will give him time to work up with. And I mean, Sexton, who I think is starting to understand basketball a little bit better, can definitely show him the way to run a team. And I really think they should have gone with Culver there. That would have made a lot more sense to get a wing.
I agree.
And then the Timberwolves at 6 who moved up. Now they're getting Culver, who is a great guy to fit their scheme. They're going to have Cat, they're going to have Culver, they're going to have, I guess, Wiggins. But that team is kind of a mess, and that pick at Culver might be crucial for them in the future years.
I'm not actually that big on that draft pick. I think Culver is a top 5 player in this draft, but I'm looking at the Timberwolves roster, and I think that they need a point guard. Yeah. So I would have gone with Kobe White there.
I totally thought that's what they were going to do because there have been rumors that the Timberwolves were going to move up. And I actually, in my mock draft predictions, I had them moving up and getting Darius Garland.
Really?
But they didn't move up as Garland had already been picked. And I guess they didn't like the fit with Kobe White, which I can understand. But I don't know. I hope they don't try to play Culver at point guard. I don't think they will. I don't think he can create well enough.
Definitely not.
But he's definitely one of my favorite prospects, and he will kind of do what Wiggins doesn't: play defense and try.
I think the Timberwolves' mindset is that there's so many star point guards available in free agency that they wanted to get more of a wing guy that might bring in a D'Angelo Russell or who else is out there. What other point guards?
They're not going to get Kyrie.
They're not going to get Kyrie. And
Mike Conley's off the
Mike Conley, exactly. But
Darren Collison.
Maybe they'll make a splash, get a nice point guard to help their offense out.
Yeah, they'd have to clear some space, but they totally could do it. Also, they really didn't give up that much. If you think about it, to move up to 6.
Oh, yeah.
Just Dario?
Yeah,
Dario, that's nothing.
But, Dario's a good player, but I don't know if his fit on the Suns is super great.
Yeah, not a lot of upside or superstar upside there.
Oh
with Dario.
yeah. He's a good role
Yeah.
player, though. There's no question.
Agreed.
All right, and then number 7, which we got right.
We did. That's
Kobe
an
White.
obvious pick. The you can't start Chris Dunn on an NBA team, so the Bulls filled that gap. Is there anything else
I
we
mean,
need to say there?
it's a pretty basic pick. That was
Yeah,
the
it's a
obvious
They
take.
needed a point guard,
It was a good fit. Anyway, moving on to number 8.
which was traded, and nothing was scarier for me to see Jackson Hayes put on an Atlanta Hawks cap.
Oh,
No,
I was very against us drafting him,
We didn't want it.
but he is headed to the Pelicans, which I kind of like. They needed a center, and they got a good center. The front court of him and Zion will be interesting.
I mean, the
Yeah.
Pelicans got a haul in that AD trade.
It did.
I mean, it's crazy how much. Like, I saw a post on Twitter and Instagram that has the full list of every single piece that they got, in which they flipped and get more pieces to surround Zion and I guess Lonzo too. And that team is going to be a team to watch, maybe even a playoff contender.
Yeah, I think people are getting a little ahead of themselves. Definitely, like that team's gonna be offensively challenged.
I agree.
Like the Lakers stink. They stunk with that core. I don't know why the Pelicans would be good unless Zion really is the Rookie of the Year runaway, which he totally could be. So.
He totally might. I'm not a big fan of that pick, mainly because of Jackson Hayes' inability to shoot beyond the arc. When you look at the Pelicans roster going into next season, they don't have a ton of three-point shooting.
Yeah.
And, from that Hawks trade, they also acquired number 17. And, Goja went number, 18 to the Pacers.
Yeah.
So if I were them, I would have held off with Jackson Hayes and taken Goja.
I mean, yeah, that's just a bold play to do, though, because I think there are a lot of teams in that 14 to 7, more like 15, 16, 17 that could have taken Goja.
That's true.
So I guess, it makes sense.
I think they thought that Jackson Hayes was their guy.
Yeah.
And that was their main point of trading for the Hawks pick in general. And they obviously need shooting, and they obviously need a year to gel because
Yeah.
none of those guys have really played together on a true team. You have Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Zion, Jackson Hayes. Those guys haven't played with each other yet, except for Lonzo and Brandon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then moving on to 9 with the shocker of Rui Hachimura.
Oh,
Wow.
I think the Wizards need to hire a GM real fast.
I could have made a better pick there.
Well, we can't get ahead of ourselves. The fit, there's definitely like a fit, because I guess the Wizards sort of need help everywhere other than, I guess, at the guard spot.
That's true.
But, I understand why they picked him. He's like a stretch 4 that doesn't really stretch that well. Like, the numbers weren't that great.
Mm-hmm. High energy,
Yeah.
put up 20 points a game in college at Gonzaga.
Yeah. He appears to be the kind of kid who will like work really hard and put in the effort, which is something that kind of like, to be honest, I just don't see him being like that much like special of a talent. Like his ceiling kind of seems like the player they had at power forward before there, Markieff Morris, kind of like a stretch 4 that really can't create his own shot that well.
That's true.
I don't think he's going to do very much in Washington. That team is still going to be a mess for years to come because they're kind of stuck in the mud trying to, figure out what to do. And I guess moving on, this will be the last pick of us, previewing the draft, or reviewing the draft, I should say, with Hawks taking Cam Reddish.
Oh yeah, double wing baby.
It's a great
called
pick.
it.
Yeah, that I guess before the draft, we had talked a little bit about that, about the Hawks doubling down on the wings. You never can have enough wings.
Exactly.
And now we have a bunch, especially since we acquired Solomon Hill in the Pelicans deal. So we went from 0 small forwards to 3.
In one night.
I think Atlanta Hawks fans rejoiced when we picked Cam Reddish. So.
Oh, yeah. That's a steal. He should have been taken a lot higher. He's one of those top 8 talents that we had before. And going into Duke, he was the top 3 talent in the entire U.S.
I think people got to definitely not go overboard with it, though, because, there's the precedent for players that were pretty bad in college, that were talented high school players that just stunk in college. They usually don't end up being super great NBA players. I was looking at that, and he shot sub 40% from the field, just field goal percentage, which isn't too good. But he was on a weird team fit, and I think that Trae Young will make him so much better.
Oh, yeah.
All right, moving on, we're going to look at some draft team fits for some of our favorite players.
All right, so Jojo, do you want to talk about the Goga fit? on the Pacers?
So with Goja on the Pacers, it's not a great fit because they already have Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis from Gonzaga. And while I do think that Goja is a good player and will have a full NBA career, I'm not sure if it will be on the Pacers, personally.
Yeah, it's really weird that they picked him. I mean, does it mean that a trade's in store? Does it mean that he's not ready to develop? Does it mean that he's not even coming? I think he's coming over. I don't think he's a stash.
I don't think he's
No.
been a top 20 pick on the stash.
I mean, it's happened before, but it's unlikely. And it's just weird. I don't know. Maybe we'll see a trade. I mean, the Pacers do like to rotate their bigs. If they don't move anybody, I'd expect that means that Thaddeus Young probably won't be back.
I think the Pacers' strategy mainly is to just have a bunch of solid guys who are good role players. And although, I mean, Goga technically isn't a role player, but he's just another guy who you know is going to be solid no matter what. He's going to be a type of guy. And
Another center that I really like that actually ended up in a team that I also really like for this upcoming season is Nicholas Claxton to the Nets. It came out that with the 31st pick they were looking to shop it, and they selected Claxton, and they look like they're going to keep him at this point. And I think that's a really good fit for him. Claxton kind of fits the Brooklyn Nets mold where he's works really hard, high character guy. He's going to put in the effort, and I think they can coach him up. And also, he won't have the pressure of starting at all, so he can work behind Jared Allen, continue to develop his shooting, and he could kind of be a good foil character to what Jared Allen is, because Claxton can stretch the floor a little bit, hypothetically. And I think that's a really good pick.
One guy that I like is Brandon Clark. You know, he kind of slipped in the draft because you know what you're getting with him. He doesn't have too high of a ceiling, but him going to the Grizzlies seems perfect for them. They took Ja, who's their point guard of the future. Obviously, Triple J's is going to be great for years to come. But the thing about Brandon Clark is he's going to give you the strong minutes that you need. And I think the Grizzlies are maybe 1 or 2 years away from being a solid contender. In my opinion, they're one of the sneaky winners of the draft, taking obviously their point guard of the future and maybe their small forward / power forward of the future.
I'd agree. They also acquired Grayson Allen from that Grizzlies trade, if I remember, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Another great piece to add to them, Jojo, who's someone that you liked in the draft.
Personally, one of the biggest fallers in the draft I was a fan of, Nasir Little out of UNC, fell all the way to Portland at 25, I believe. This will be a great fit for Portland because they do not have a strong defender at the guard spot, with Dame and CJ both being undersized. And this will also help because they lack strong wings on that team because Evan Turner is not a good player in the NBA anymore.
Yeah. I really wonder why he fell that far. That was super surprising to me. Like, he just kept falling and falling, which means there must be something up, because you don't see a player fall that far and there not be something wrong. So we'll have to see if his shooting stroke is really like that broken.
I think it is.
Yeah, it probably is. But, I mean, he's in a good situation where he won't have to create any offense for himself. He'll literally just have to stand in the corner and play defense. I mean,
contribute on fast breaks.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, you saw what the Blazers were getting from Maurice Harkless and Al-Farouq Aminu in the playoffs. If Nasir Little can give them any kind of three-point shooting, he'll be a good player for the Portland Trail Blazers.
Agreed.
One kind of set of moves that I liked is I like the Celtics. They got a bunch of solid guys, and usually when you take solid guys who had decent college careers, a few of them are going to turn out to be solid guys, solid role players. And that's what the Celtics did. They took Romeo Langford, Grant Williams, Carson Edwards. That team has a young core of just solid players who might turn out to be a few of the guys we see in the future who are dominating. They also traded Aaron Baines to clear some cap room. And the Celtics have, as we all know, are kind of a mess with Kyrie Irving. Their entire Kyrie Irving, Al Horford, Gordon Hayward, big three didn't work at all. And they kind of have to start all over with Tatum, and now they just have a bunch of solid guys who can work around Tatum, and hopefully they can find someone in free agency to make their team more whole.
Yeah, I like their picks a lot. I think they did a good job of picking guys who probably have pretty high ceilings.
They do.
And guys who have pretty high floors below ceilings. Like Grant Williams, you know what you're going to get. Like he will be able to produce. Romeo Langford, you don't know what he's going to get. Is he really a 30%? I think he shot below 30%, like 3-point shooter, or was it his hand injury? So he'll definitely have a chance to show what he can do.
Definitely. Moving on to a second-round pick that I'm a big fan of is Justin Wright Foreman from Hofstra. Go Pride. JWF was second in the NCAA in scoring with 27 points per game. This guy can knock it down from anywhere on the floor, NBA range. He's a phenomenal three-point shooter. I believe he's top 30 in the NCAA at that. And, while he did not make a tournament appearance this year, he did lead his team to the Colonial Conference Championship.
I mean, that's your expertise, small college guys. And
do you think he'll actually get a chance to play in the Utah Jazz rotation?
I believe so. I mean, they did trade for Mike Conley, so that's your starting point guard. But I'm trying to think. Dante Exum is not going to get minutes.
Yeah.
And so I could see JWF getting some minutes at backup point guard.
Definitely. He definitely benefited for something that happened at the end of the draft that I sort of noticed, which was players declining to be drafted at the end of the second round to avoid two-ways. One of my favorite players in the draft, Terrence Davis from Ole Miss, tweeted out that he actually declined to get drafted late in the second round as to avoid getting a two-way and betting on himself, which is what NBA champion Fred VanVleet did. And that worked out for Fred. He went into Summer League and worked his butt off and ended up getting a undrafted free agent deal. But I don't know. Terrence Davis is kind of betting on himself. And I think a couple other players did that. And there was some surprising late second round picks that got taken. A lot of guys that fell out that I felt kind of bad for. Like Jonte Porter.
Definitely.
Who was mocked in the first round of last year's draft. Decided to go back to school. Yeah. Yeah, and he's a little slow and kind of he's kind of doughy. He's not a really athletic guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard he's kind of he kind of projects a little bit like a Jokic type player, but he definitely, the injury concerns are there for him.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm happy for Justin Wright Foreman getting taken in the second round. He definitely. It's good to see these college players who averaged a bunch in college, and even though they're despite the fact that they're kind of old, I still think they can help an NBA team, and he's going to ball out in Summer League.
I agree.
No question.
There's a couple other Summer League players that have been taken post-draft that are not per se big college players, but they've really been putting in a lot of buckets. And one I really like is Shamory Pons from St. John's. He dropped 30 on Duke last year. This man exudes clutchness. Another guy I'm pretty big on is Tyus Battle, who I believe just got signed to Cleveland for a Summer League contract. And he also had a big game on Duke. He dropped 30 on Duke this past year.
All right.
And I guess we'll just wrap up this part of this episode, just overall NBA draft takeaways.
All right, well, my big takeaway definitely is if you want to predict a draft and have a good mock draft, look at the workouts. I think that goes a long way. That's something that I totally should have looked into more.
Okay, one thing that I noticed is that a bunch of teams, they have their guy set. Like Rui went kind of early, and I guess nobody liked Bol, who dropped all the way down the second round, and Casey Okpala from Stanford. A bunch of guys who nobody really had their eyes dead set on kind of fell. And that was my biggest takeaway, is that sometimes maybe the best prospect, but it's more of just what fits your mindset of your team.
I agree. One of the big takeaways I had of this draft is it seems that NBA teams are looking to fill players that can get their own bucket. A lot of guys with specialties, such as Nasir Little, fell in the draft, and guys that can get their own buckets, such as Cody Martin from Nevada, rose all the way to pick number 36 for Charlotte.
Yeah, I think shooting goes a long way. I mean, that's why Cameron Johnson got taken.
It's all about shooting and not being injury prone, because all those injury prone guys fell super low.
Yep.
Agreed.
All right. And we're back. Right now, we're going to go into a kind of brief overview of what our local team, the Atlanta Hawks, did. We're going to give JP Miller 2 minutes to give us his best analysis on what the Hawks' future is.
All right,
Jojo.
2 minutes on the clock. You ready?
Let's do it.
Go.
All right, so the Atlanta Hawks selected 3 players in the NBA draft, 2 wings and a center. That gets us up to 14 players guaranteed contracts. And we have Dwayne Dedmon to re-sign and Vince Carter possibly to come back. So that leaves the question, is there a buyout candidate or is there another trade coming? Quite possibly. I don't think that we're going to part with Kent Bazemore, but I could definitely see a buyout happening with Alan Crabb and Solomon Hill, as we kind of have a lot of wings on our roster now. And I think that I would love to have Dwayne Dedmon back, and I think a lot of the fans agree, but bringing in Bruno Fernando gives us a backup center, and Alex Len really proved himself last year. So, we'll see. And then the next question from free agency is, with our remaining cap room, which dwindled a little bit after the Solomon Hill trade, I think we have around $15 million to spend, and that's not including bringing back Dwayne Dedmon or Vince Carter. We have to find a true backup point guard. I mean, I could see us going into the year with Jalen Adams as our backup. He did an okay job last year. I mean, he can shoot, but I think that it'd be really good to have a veteran presence for Trae Young, kind of like what Jeremy Lin did last year. So, some potential guys I could see us maybe throwing a little bit of money out is Darren Collison, Tomas Satoransky is also another possibility. There's also a lot of other veteran guys. Who knows? Maybe Shelvin Mack will make his return to Atlanta. I feel like he's always rumored. And the big guy that I've seen talked about a lot is Malcolm Brogdon, Atlanta native, but I do not think that we have enough cap space to do that. So I'm going to say right here, right now, that Malcolm Brogdon is not a possibility. And who knows? Maybe we'll see a guy explode in Summer League that we sign that might be able to get a shot at the second or third point guard spot. And yeah, that's your Atlanta Hawks 2-minute breakdown.
Awesome, just in time.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty solid. I mean, pretty great, kind of filling in time. We'll probably bring that back when the Hawks make official moves.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Now we're going to dive into free agents. I've written down about around 10 free agents, the biggest free agents. We're just going to kind of go rapid fire on our predictions,
Okay.
and we're going to see how this goes. Obviously, there's a domino effect, so usually if we get one of these wrongs, we're probably going to get like 3 or 4 of these wrong.
Yeah.
So let's just go around real quick. Give who they're going to and why 10 seconds. Start with KD.
The Knicks. I think that just makes a lot of sense now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got KD re-signing with the Supermax on the Warriors.
Wow.
All right. I actually have KD going to the Nets. There's just too much talks about him and another free agent going to Brooklyn. And
Really?
I just believe the hype, I guess.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
since you brought it up, let's go ahead and talk about Kyrie.
All right, and I have Kyrie going to the Nets. I think they're going to join forces, and I think it's going to be a terrible disaster.
I think Kyrie is going to the Nets also. That's like been a big rumor for a long time.
I believe he's going to the Nets. They really seem to be going after the big free agents, clearing the double max slot. And I believe that they have a great chance at both Kevin Durant and Kyrie.
That's crazy to think about. That the Nets have gone from having one of the worst trades of all time 5 years ago to being in a potential shot to get 2 of the top 10 NBA
It's
players
insane.
in free agency. Yeah.
All right, let's just go Kawhi.
All right. I'm going to have to go with re-sign with the Raptors.
Let's see. Kawhi, I think it's possible he goes to the Clippers, but I'm going to say he resigns.
Okay. I have him going to the Clippers. I think he wants to move to LA because that's where he grew up, and even though he obviously won a championship with the Raptors, there's just too much buzz around him, and he accidentally slips up multiple times saying that it's their championship. That's my prediction. All right, D'Lo.
Let's see. D'Angelo Russell, I've got Timberwolves.
Wow.
I also have the Timberwolves. I think they need a point guard, and I think he likes their young core.
I think he's going home. I think he's going back to the Lakers.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep, Magic Johnson is out, and he's back.
All right.
That's crazy. I've seen it talked about, though.
Yep.
All right, moving on to Kemba.
I don't think Kemba can turn... I think the Hornets are going to give Kemba all the money, and I think he doesn't turn that down.
I believe he will stay
shoot.
stay with the Hornets.
All right. I actually think... I know I don't have any of these guys re-signing, but I think he's going to go Lake show. I think LeBron's going to convince him somehow, some way. All right.
Wow.
Moving on to Klay Thompson.
He's back with the Warriors.
I think that's the most for sure one on this list. Back to the Warriors.
Yep, that's.
I really wish he would leave though.
It'd be so much
Come to
more
Atlanta,
fun.
Clay.
I mean, yeah, I have him going to the Warriors too. I think he's made too many memories. He's friends with Steph, and now that KD's gone, they get the band all back together. All right, Tobias Harris. This is where it gets these are kind of like, stars, maybe an all stars, but these aren't like game changers.
I think that is what the Nets use on there's the Nets' second max slot. That's what I think they use it on after they strike out on KD because he goes to the Knicks.
I actually think he's going to re-sign with the Clippers. I think when he hears the news that Kawhi Leonard is going to the Clippers, I think he's going to be motivated to stay in LA.
I think he's also going to re-sign with the Sixers. I've heard that the Sixers are prioritizing re-signing Jimmy Butler this offseason, but I believe if they offer him a contract, he will take it.
All right, moving on, Jimmy Butler.
Oh yeah, this one's tough.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy. I don't know, man. It's so hard to tell what Jimmy's gonna do. If I had to put money on it, I would say back to the Sixers because he kind of fills a need for them, and they'll offer it.
I've got Jimmy Butler taking the other max slot in LA with the Lakers.
Oh yeah.
Assuming they can get it. Or have they gone it? Yeah.
I think they still got to trade my boy Isaac Bonga, but I think they'll have it soon.
They're at about $28 million in cap space, and they'll need 32.5.
I think yeah.
I have no idea where Jimmy's gonna go. I guess even though it's kind of like interacting with my Kemba to the Lakers prediction, I think he's gonna go to the Lakers. I don't know why, but just a gut feeling, I guess.
Makes sense. I mean, they need players.
They do.
All right.
Nobody at the shooting guard.
Oh yeah, they have. I don't think they have anybody, right? Yeah, they have no guards on their team. So
Isaac Bonga.
Isaac Bonga, worst player in 2K.
Is Lance still there?
No, Lance is a free agent.
No, Lance. Yeah.
Ugh.
All right. Real quick, Al Horford.
I think Al Horford is headed to the Mavericks.
Really?
Oh yeah, I just want to see the forward and center line of Al Horford, Luka Doncic, and Kristaps Porzingis. That could be game changer.
I think Al Horford's going to go to the Pelicans. I think he wants to kind of teach some young guys, and he'd obviously teach Jackson Hayes. He'd keep them kind of together. He's a professional at best, and he's known for that. Do you have anything to add?
No, not really. I could see Al going many places. I think the most likely one, personally, is that he will go to the Pelicans.
Really?
As Noah said, I think that seems likely.
Do they have enough money to do that? They probably have to. I think they probably have to get off Actually, they got off of Solomon
Yeah,
Helps. They might have enough cap space to do that.
And finally, we'll just finish off with Chris Middleton. Where do you think he's going to go?
I think Chris Middleton's headed back to the Bucks. That just makes sense. He's a good fit there, and he's a clutch playoff performer. I think people underrate Chris Middleton.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm on the exact opposite idea. I think Chris Middleton is super overrated.
Oh.
I don't think many NBA teams are interested in him, to be quite honest. So I believe he re-signs with the Bucks.
Yeah, I think he's going to re-sign with the Bucks. I think he had a lot of fun with Giannis and Brogdon and Coach Bud. I don't think there's any way he's leaving Milwaukee. I think that's going to do it for our kind of rapid-fire free agency and our episode in general.
All right, yep, and we will be back in 1 to 2 weeks with some more updates on free agency. After the dominoes start to fall, we can see how wrong we were with our predictions.
Always fun.
All right, thanks for listening.